You land, 16 hours in the air, and before your feet even touch the ground, and before you've cleared immigration, and before you've even said a single word to anyone, it's already happened. The switch has flipped. Your shoulders drop half an inch, your voice finds a register you haven't used in months, and somewhere between the aero bridge and the baggage belt, you've quietly and invisibly become a slightly different person. You don't even feel like it happened. It's muscle memory now. 3 weeks later, you're back on Tuesday morning Zoom call, talking about boundaries and work-life balance. And that person from the aero bridge is gone. Deleted. It's almost like they were never there. Well, this isn't confusion. This isn't some tragic or tortured who am I really identity crisis they write think pieces about. You know exactly who you are in both rooms. That's not the problem. The problem is you've built two people who are both real, both fully you, and would absolutely not survive meeting each other. The uncle who touched your head and called you a good boy has no idea the other version of you exists. The colleague who thinks you're so chill about family stuff has never seen you touch anyone's feet. You see, you got split into two because both these sides demanded a version of you they could love, and neither of them asked if you could actually afford to keep paying for it. This is the real cost of living between two countries, not confusion, rent. You're paying rent on two identities every single day, and the bill never stops coming. Forget the accent. That's the easy and obvious part everyone already jokes about. This is deeper. This is personality level. This is you fundamentally becoming two different operating systems depending on which room you walk into. Think about who you are at the Diwali party. You're touching feet, you're laughing at your uncle's lame jokes about your weight, you know the kind that he makes every single year since you were like 12, and you're laughing like it's the funniest shit ever. You're saying, yes auntie, I'll definitely come for lunch, knowing full well that you won't. Here, you're performing a version of respect, deference, and warmth. Now think about who you are 48 hours later, on a Tuesday, in a meeting with your manager. You're using words like circle back and bandwidth. You're setting a boundary about a deadline. You're disagreeing with your senior in a calm and measured tone. Because that's what's rewarded here. That person, confident, direct, individualistic, would get destroyed at that Diwali party. And the Diwali version of you would never survive in that boardroom. If you look closely, you see that these aren't costumes. You're not faking something. Both versions are completely real. Both are fully and legitimately you. You've just built two separate people who happen to share a body. These two versions would simply not understand each other. In fact, they might even hate each other. You're the only one who's present in both situations. You're the only witness to the whole performance, which means you're also the only one who has to hold the weight of it. And nobody's trained you for this. There's no manual for how to keep both versions running smoothly, how to switch between them in under a second, how to not let one personality bleed into the other and blow up the whole thing. You just learned through repetition, through consequences. When you brought the boardroom you to the Diwali party, or the other time when you brought the Diwali you to work. So slowly you got good at it. Scary good. So good that the switch happens before you're even conscious of it. It's like a reflex, not a choice. It's not that you're confused about who you are, it's that you've become so skilled at becoming two people that you've forgotten what it feels like to be just one. Now, think about what your parents actually know about your life right now. Not what's true, but what they know. They know that you went to the temple last month because you sent a photo. They know you're doing well because that's the phrase you use every single call regardless of what's actually happening. They know a version of you that is technically made entirely of real facts and somehow still isn't real at all. You've never sat down and decided to lie to them. There was no moment where you chose deception. It happened one omission at a time. You didn't mention the partner you've been seeing for 8 months. You didn't bring up that you skipped Navratri this year because you were exhausted and honestly didn't feel like doing it. You didn't mention that last month you were so broke that you had to move your rent payment by a couple of weeks. None of these on their own feel like lies. Each one is just a thing you didn't say. But omission compounds. Ask 100 small things not to exist, and eventually you've built an entire second person. A version of you that only lives inside a phone, curated down to the photo, performing a life that runs parallel to the one you are actually living. But your parents love the other person. They brag about that fake person to their relatives you haven't spoken to in a decade. And the tragedy is, that second person is fictional. And you wrote it, one silence at a time. And you also know that they are not stupid. They probably know. They probably sense the gaps, feel the edges where the story just simply doesn't quite add up. And they let it slide, because the fiction is easier for them too. So it's not just omission. It's fiction you're co-writing with them. Both of you agreeing silently never to check what's underneath. Which means when the real thing eventually surfaces, for example, say a breakup they never knew about, a job loss, a health scare, it doesn't land like normal bad news. It lands like betrayal. Because in their minds, this isn't new information. This is a stranger showing up wearing their child's face. And you're left there standing, holding the weight of every small, "I'm fine" you've ever said. You touch down, and for the first few hours it feels right. The smell of the airport, the chaos of the traffic, your mother's face at arrivals. For a moment, you've convinced that nothing has changed. Then day two happens. You go to the tea stall you used to go to every evening and it's gone. You call your best friend from school and he's got a family now, a kid, a mortgage, a whole separate life that you were never a part of. You walk down your old street and there's a gym now where the bookstore used to be. And somehow that small stupid detail wrecks you more than anyone else on the trip. Because here's the delusion you've been carrying without realizing it. You thought home was a place, frozen and waiting patiently for you to come back and pick up exactly where you left off. Well, it's not. It's not a place at all. It was a moment, and that moment indeed has passed. Everyone else kept living, the town kept moving, your friends kept growing, changing and drifting into lives they don't have a slot reserved for you anymore in. And you kept a version of it perfectly preserved in your head. It's like a photograph you kept staring at while the real thing kept aging without you. So every trip back starts to feel less like a homecoming and more like visiting a museum. You're walking through exhibits of a life that used to be yours, admiring it, feeling the ache of it. But you're behind glass. You can look, you can remember, but you can't step back in time and live there. And the cruelest part, the part that actually stings, is that the place isn't nostalgic for you the way you're nostalgic for it. It didn't wait, it didn't pause, it has no memory of missing you. This is why you start needing something from these trips that a trip can never actually give you. Permission to feel like nothing has changed. But it has. Everything has. Now your school friends have inside jokes you have no idea about. Your childhood bedroom is now a storeroom, not preserved as a shrine, but just repurposed the way any practical family repurposes unused space. And so you fly back, again, carrying this strange dual grief, homesick for the country you left, and now also homesick for the country that already left without you. Two forms of the same pain, except one of them, the one that actually hurts more, is grieving a place that's still alive, still breathing. So, somewhere along the way, without ever signing anything, without anyone sitting you down and explaining the terms, you became the designated financial cushion for your extended family. You're the one who gets the call when there's a wedding to fund, a hospital bill nobody saw coming, a cousin's tuition that's suddenly just a small gap if you can help. And you can always help, can't you? That's the whole premise of the arrangement. You left and now you're settled, which automatically means that your money is now community property. And the brutal part in all of this is that it's never framed as a transaction. It's framed as love, as duty, as what a good son, a good daughter, or a good grandchild does. So when you hesitate, even for a second, even for a completely legitimate reason like you're barely covering your own expenses, the silence on the other end of the phone isn't neutral. It's disappointment wearing the costume of understanding. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Set in the exact tone that guarantees that you will, in fact, worry about it for the next 3 months. And the sick twist in this whole arrangement is that you pay. And still, you don't get to claim that you understand real struggle. You send the money, you cover the bill, you wire the funds at midnight because the time difference doesn't pause for family emergencies. The one who doesn't get it, the one whose hardship abroad doesn't count as real hardship because at least you're living in a country with better roads. So you're funding a life you're simultaneously told you've disqualified yourself from understanding. You're paying rent on a struggle you're not allowed to claim membership in. We need to understand that remittance isn't generosity. Generosity is optional. This is closer to ransom, extortion. You're not sending money because you have some surplus of it lying around. You're sending it because the alternative is being quietly rebranded in family conversations you'll never be present for as the one who forgot where they came from. The one who got comfortable abroad and stopped caring. Nobody wants to be that person in the group chat. So you pay every single time. All of this, month after month, is framed as love. You didn't choose to become two people. Both sides came up with a condition of love. One demanded the version that touches feet. The other rewarded the version that speaks up in meetings. One wanted the son who never left. The other wanted the man who did. So you built both. You got fluent in switching between them before you even knew you were doing it. You started ghostwriting a version of yourself for a group chat that never asked for the truth. You kept flying back to the place that stopped waiting the moment you boarded that first flight of yours. And you started paying, literally, for the privilege of being loved by people who still call you confused.